Hello, I'm Tanya Bennett, and it is time for another edition of Hump Day Holla. So, happy Wednesday, everyone. So, to recap, the last few Wednesdays, our topic has kind of revolved around action, right? So, we talked a little bit about how to get out of a funk the first week, and then last week it was how to set goals into small little chunks, right? So this week, something has really been standing out to me. And if you watched every Monday, I do kind of a Monday manager tip. And this week's Monday manager, I think, could apply to more than just people that manage teams. But in this week's Monday manager, I talked about how to get from the point of paralyzed with fear and then innovation. Okay. So I think that it's important to talk about that right now. And so let's talk about the kind of paralyzed with fear. It's important to recognize and acknowledge reality. And so let's talk about that. So all of us could not wait for 2020 to be over, right? We were like, come on, 2021, we are over this. Well, here we are in 2021, and things haven't just magically changed and gotten better, right? So, with that being said, I know that there are many people that in 2020 have suffered such great loss, whether that was the loss of a loved one, the loss of a sole provider in their home, that could be losing a job, losing income, really suffering from instability. Found that everything that they have worked their entire lives to build has kind of all come crashing down. And so I kind of wanted to, in Monday's Manager, I talked about when I had a team and when the pandemic originally started, how I took a moment to take things down a notch. And we went around the room and we all talked about, said out loud, what are your fears? What are we afraid of in this moment? And I think that this is an important place to start, even for an individual. Because at the end of the day, just pushing those fears to the side do no good for anyone. We need to acknowledge exactly where we are. But here's a little bit of the twist. Many times when we are identifying what we are afraid of, that comes out in a form of self-talk where we're blaming ourselves for what has happened. And so I kind of just want to talk about, most of us have never in a society gone through what we have just been through in the last year and continue to kind of face right now. Okay. We've never really seen anything like this in our lifetime. So one thing is, none of us had a little black book that told us what to do in case a pandemic occurs. Okay? And I know you might be snickering right now, but that's reality. So, yes, you've been taught your whole life you should have had a savings. You should have money saved in case something drastic happens. But even the best of financial advisors gave that for you should start with a 3 to 6 month plan of having a savings. People, it's been almost a year. So even the most prepared people couldn't prepare for this. Most people don't anticipate to be unemployed for this long amount of time. So I wanted to start with the reality of acknowledging that you might be scared, that you might be angry, that you might be really sad, but that you really need to recognize that none of this is your fault. So I think it's important to address the difference between shame and guilt. Guilt is, I've done something wrong I'm not proud of. I feel bad for it. Shame is, I've done something wrong or I haven't done something wrong, but I'm a bad person. Shame serves no purpose and is usually always a lie that our ego has created to tell ourselves to somewhat protect ourselves. It's kind of reverse psychology, right? So it's important to recognize you didn't do anything to bring on what is happening. Okay? You couldn't have worked harder. You couldn't have worked smarter. You couldn't have worked longer to prevent losing a job. Okay? Especially in this arena, right? I mean, we have found everyone from executives in high level positions to middle management to hourly associates losing their income. So really, there is no rhyme or reason for the decisions that had to be made in this last year. Acknowledging that. The second thing that I think is very important to acknowledge is your worth. Your worth is not tied to what you do. What you do is not who you are. It's what you do. Your bank account, your credit score, your savings account is not your worth. You are more than the amount of money that's in your bank account right now. Your weight does not define your worth. If you found yourself in a pandemic where we were secluded to our homes and not able to go out or do anything, perhaps picking up some pounds, guess what? You're not alone. The majority of the world actually did that. So acknowledge and give yourself a little bit of grace that what has happened in the last year is hard and that we all just got through the best way we knew how. So the importance of this step in the process is that it allows yourself to give yourself some grace, because it's really hard to know where you're going if you don't know where you are. And by pushing all of those feelings aside, it doesn't serve you. It actually holds you back, because what those feelings do is they make you question yourself. Because if you're still questioning yourself for why you lost your job, then you're going to question yourself as to why would another employer choose me? Why would I be successful in starting my own business? But when you go back to what happened to me was really around my circle of control. There was nothing that I could do about that. But there is something that I can do now. You know, they always say we have no power in the way others treat us or what happens to us. Our only power is the way that we react. So let's talk about, what are you going to do if you react? How do we move from that place now where we've accepted to innovation? And so I think that what I want to talk about now is many people, like I said, have been trying to look for jobs for the last year. The hardcore reality is right now, there aren't enough jobs for the amount of people that have lost their jobs. Okay, that's just the hardcore reality. So when you accept that hardcore reality, it doesn't mean it's hopeless. Okay, it does mean that you need to be a little bit more creative in job searches. It does mean that you need to make yourself stand out a little bit more. And then it does also mean that you need to consider options that you may never have considered before. And perhaps one of those is starting your own business. And so I want to talk about, like, when people hear, you know, it was funny. I used to say, I have no desire to ever be an entrepreneur. I don't ever want the stress of starting my own business. And then the funny thing is, life happened to me in a similar way before the pandemic. And I was dealt a blow that I had no choice. I had to start my own business. And the crazy thing was that once I started my own business, I realized, holy cow, this is what I was meant to do. I wasn't truly meant to work for people. I was meant to be I'm disciplined enough to do this on my own, right? So I think for many people, when they think of starting a business, you don't have to think about you're starting this big tech firm. Perhaps starting your business is creating something, whether that's creating crafts, whether that's creating clothes, whether that's creating some type of product that you know people need. Maybe that is a landscaping business. Maybe that is a house cleaning business. Maybe that's a commercial cleaning business. It can be a variety of different things, okay? but it's something that you know that you excel at, that you do well, and you've thought about, I wonder if I could ever do this. So let's talk about that. If you decide, if you're brainstorming to yourself and you're thinking, well, what would that look like? Where do I start? The first place you start is you need to identify your target audience. Okay? Because unless you know exactly what you're doing and how that appeals and who that appeals to, you won't really know where to find these people that are going to buy whatever you're selling, whether that's your service or your product. Okay? So to get started, some of the things that you need to identify is, what is the person's age? So, you want to try to keep this within 10 years, but what's that age range look like for your target client? What about their gender? Are they female? Are they male? What about their title? Are they a stay-at-home mom? Are they a working mom? Are they actually owners of big companies? Are they owners of multiple companies? You need to define that. What is their average income? Because that's where you're going to want to kind of define what you're going to charge for whatever you're going to offer. So then there's a few more of those, and then you go into, okay, let's dig a little bit deeper. What is this person searching for? And so just think about, if you have been selling crafts, who are the people when they come looking at your things? What brings them to you? What are they searching for? What do they like? What's unique about what you have? And I'm sure you've actually even been told this before. You just have never really paid attention, right? What are their passions and interests? And the reasons you're wanting to identify that, because again, we're going to have to figure out where to find these people, okay? And then, another big question is, what are their buying patterns? Do they purchase online only? Or are they terrified of technology and they only trust people that they can actually see and actually speak to? So this is actually a start of defining who you would like to target your product, your service to. So, of course, there's a deeper process involved in this, but this is a great start. If you would like to explore this further, I'm going to say it once again, shameless plug, but on my Facebook page, there is a Book Now button. Feel free to book that for a truly, no gimmicks, free, complimentary consult. And I can help walk you through some of this, and we can determine what your next steps are. So I hope that this helps someone today. And again, I'm Tanya Bennett. For more tips and tricks, make sure you follow me on both YouTube and Facebook, The Strategist with a Y. Make it a great day. Happy Hump Day.